This is the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast with Ferd Niemann. If you're looking to generate wealth and passive income in the lucrative world of mobile home parks, you're in the right place. You'll discover solutions to the common legal and operational pitfalls and how to optimize parks to maximize income. Your host is in the trenches. He's a real estate attorney, financial analyst, and mobile home park investor and operator. Now, let's turn it over to Ferd Niemann.
Welcome back, Mobile Home Park Nation. Ferd Niemann here again today with another episode of the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast. Today I'm going to go through some post-closing tasks. We just closed on a project a couple days ago, so this is top of mind. We like to have a handoff meeting, the due diligence team and process hands it off to the post-closing operation team so that things tend not to fall through the cracks as easily. Because typically the acquisition guys, I do a lot of the acquisition stuff as well, we know the property better. We've seen it, we've talked to the seller, we've looked at the financials, we've got together bids and budgets and just know the property, know how many units there are, how many park-owned homes, the condition, the estimated budget. Does this property need a new playground or not? Does it need a picnic area or not? Those sort of things. And the operations team may not be able to just jump right in, so we have a handoff meeting. But really there's a handful of tasks, and I'm just going to roll through them here rather than go ad nauseum at each one. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. But here's just a quick checklist of post-closing tasks. First, look for any safety issues or safety corrections. Adding speed bumps. Do you need handicap parking? Are there any trees that are potentially going to be a safety hazard? Any loose wires or trip hazards? And correct those right away. At some point soon thereafter of closing, you want to make sure you transfer the mobile home titles. And if you need to do a playground, you get that installed. Road repairs and construction. County mobile home tax records, update the county. If you've got investors, you're going to want to get investor pref return payments set up. If you have a loan, you're going to want to get the loan set up on automatic pay or ACH. You want to make sure you get your tenant ledger entered right. We use Rent Manager, but the unit number. If you get the size of the lot, that's helpful. The type of the home on there. What's the rent amount? Is there shed rent, pet rent, etc. Tenant name. We'd like to create a site map and a rent roll. I like to create rent rolls separately in Excel, in addition to what Rent Manager has. It just seems to be easier if I want to give it to a lender or if I want to sell it, because there's a lot of extra categories that show up in Rent Manager that I may or may not need for circulation to others. I want to double confirm that my insurance is set up. This is definitely a pre-closing item, but like post-closing, it's like, dear insurance guy, verify all of the insured property on this as part of this acquisition. I want to start hiring staff and vendors. Hopefully this is part of the due diligence process as well, but depending on the project, it may need to happen shortly after closing. And then make sure you got your staff, your management paperwork straightened out. Order my water meters. I typically order water meters towards the end of due diligence once I know I'm going to buy it. That way they're there sooner. Currently we're using Metron, and their water scope process, it's pretty slick. I've heard lots of good things about other companies too, but I just don't have a lot of experience with other ones. I make sure we have key dates added to the calendar. The most important dates are when your permit's due. Property taxes are important too, but it's actually less important permit because typically you don't lose your property. If you forget to pay the taxes, you get 3 years and then a right of redemption typically, whereas permit can be a big deal. So in permits, insurance, rent increase dates, things like that. I make sure there's numbers on the homes, and then begin a lease rollout, and then a lease collection, and I track it. We install signage, entry signs, speed limit signs, an anti-poaching sign, which is not poaching like animals, but don't let people poach your houses out of your park. So there's some signage you can put up to put poachers on constructive notice. We added flowers and aesthetics right away, and we roll out the painting program, which is a program we use to help subsidize painting of tenant-owned houses. And we'll paint all of our own park-owned homes as well. They're vinyl siding, which power wash them for the most part, but a lot of the older homes, they're metal or they're wood siding, and they need to be painted. And then we identify homes that are abandoned and that we can immediately demo once we have rights to. And then we look at late rent captured, what's the bad rent, and then we start to pursue that. Sometimes we'll forgive it. Generally, as the buyer, negotiate the rights to back rent, so I can then be generous people and waive it in exchange for paying current rent. And or if I don't collect it, I can write off my taxes because it was part of the consideration of the purchase price that I bought. Sometimes the bad rent is substantial. I mean, it's $50,000. Well, then you never collected. You paid consideration for that. That was part of the purchase price. You can write that off. And then I buy an inventory. You need tools or equipment. Depending on the property, you'll get a retailer license set up. And then we'll make sure if there's any transfer of licenses or permits that needs to happen, we do that as well. And then we prepare newsletters. I mean, we send a newsletter on day one. So post-closing, but it's like on day one, we say, hey, we're the new landlord. Here's where you send your rent. Here's our business plan, what we're going to do, upgrades, all that kind of stuff. We do another inventory of the park-owned homes. We generally have an internal valuation of those homes in case we want to sell them, which we typically do. And then we'll put together a punch list for each home's kind of scope of work. We'll change keys, enter passwords if it comes to an office or a computer or something like that. We create a Google page and a Facebook page. We confirm the utilities transfers have gone through. We look at streetlights to see if they need to be added or upgraded. We sometimes install mailboxes or upgrade mailboxes. And we identify a towing company and install tow company signs. So those things are all pretty valuable to do, right after closing. It's hard to do it all the first day, right? But certainly in the weeks after closing, those 25 or so items are pretty crucial. Obviously, there's some super important ones like safety issues, and make sure you don't forget to transfer your permits. And there's some that are less important, like inventory of the tools. So anyway, there's some post-closing tasks for you. Reach out if you have questions. Thanks and God bless.
You've been listening to the Mobile Home Park Lawyer Podcast with Ferd Niemann. Ready to learn more? Go to www.themobilehomelawyer.com for free resources and materials to help you succeed. If you love the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts, give us your review, and subscribe today. Thank you for listening. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri nor the Missouri Bar reviews nor approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.